Okay, welcome back to my opinion. This little video is going to be about the right to keep and bear arms. Um, I keep getting into debates with people in the comments about, I wouldn't call them anti gun people, but they don't seem to understand what the Second Amendment really is. A lot of people will always, anti gun people especially, will ask the question, so what do you want to do? Like overthrow the government? How are you going to do that with your pistol? I'm not. But lots and lots of people, millions of people uprising, if need be, can. Look throughout the world. Vietnam, we lost that where we should have just stomped ass. Afghanistan, the Russians lost Afghanistan before us. Um, these are people who are running around with minimal weaponry. Korea, etc. And throughout history, we see, just like the Scots were able to thwart off the British Empire, our own history, we kicked the English out, the American Revolution, etc. The Confederacy almost won the Civil War, and they were disorganized and weren't even well trained, but they knew how to shoot. So the Second Amendment is a constitutional right. It's in the Bill of Rights. It was recognized by the Founding Fathers for the reason of, in case the American people, the newly found American people, had to overthrow a tyrannical, not the government, a tyrannical government, okay? Just because you don't like Obama, for example, when he was president, doesn't mean you have, it's a tyrannical government. Or just like, same thing with Trump. If you didn't like Trump, that's not a tyrannical government. Biden, now, is not a tyrannical government. It's when the government starts taking away your rights, starts locking people up for various reasons, and it starts getting to where it's not just some rogue small town hick police station, okay? When things become, tyrannical, okay? Which means simply the Founding Fathers would have recognized that the American people need to be armed, and heavily armed, if they so desire. And for those of you who think that the problem with crime today in America is guns, think about this. A gun is an inanimate object. It can't do anything, just like a car can't commit DUIs. 2, they're here to stay. There's 400 million guns out here floating around. They're not going anywhere. You're not going to get rid of all the guns. That ship done passed. So you've got to, those of you who are anti-gun, who want to do something about guns, too late. And 3, even if you could, do you really want to take away guns from law-abiding citizens? That means that all your gangbangers and all your criminals, your, organized crime people are the only ones that's going to have firearms. Let's forget about the government becoming tyrannical for a moment. Do you really want to be I see more and more people open carrying all the time in a grocery store. Once upon a time, you never seen that. I'm from Eastern Kentucky. You never seen that growing up. But you see it a lot nowadays in a city that's fairly anti-gun, Louisville. So, people need to understand, and, four, we're not other countries. We're not Canada. We're not Australia. We're not, most of Europe. There's a few European countries where guns are allowed to be carried. Serbia, Switzerland, a few others. I think it's Serbia. It might be, I forget. It's one of those countries. But there are, they're a little more strict than we are, mostly. But they're allowed to carry them, in some of those countries. But those countries have long ago gotten rid of guns, for the most part. Those countries don't have the crime rate that we have. And if they do have the crime, at least it's not mostly with guns. I mean, you're still always going to have the mass shootings. France, remember Paris, these things always happen. When there's a will, there's a way. If it's not an AK-47, it's going to be a dirty bomb. But those places, Europe, Canada, Australia, etc., Japan, they still have a lot of crime, but they have a lot less crime, not because they have less guns. Think about it. For those of you who are saying, oh, get rid of the guns and you get rid of the crime, think about that for a minute. You're saying that an inanimate object makes you want to commit the crime, not the money you need to pay your rent, not the drugs you want to do or sell to get high because you're addicted, not the child molestation behaviors you have, not the, desire to own a area of a city and enforce your brutality, like gangs, etc. Not for racketeering, like the mafia. But you're saying that the gun makes the crime happen. That's stupid. So, in other words, take away the guns and all these things are still going to happen. They're just not going to use guns. Which means I'm 6'4", 233 pounds. I can still, defend myself. My wife's 5'2", and female. A firearm is the equalizer. But these countries like that, they don't have the population we have either. Our numbers look a lot higher simply because over 340 million people in this country. Those countries have like 30 million respectively each. 30-some million. The numbers are skewed. Take away all the guns, and you're going to be up shit's creek in a country with 300 and some million people. We probably have as many, because of our population number, have as many criminals as some of those countries have citizens. Think about that for a minute. If we're over 300 million population, that means, say, 10% of our population are criminals and committing criminal stuff, then that's 30-some million. That's the population of some of those countries. Millions of people at least. So, start looking at it with being honest with yourself. Be fair about it. Quit skewing the numbers because of your political beliefs. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe. Be safe and stay safe.